Rob and I were having a conversation this morning about the beings from the Zeta Reticuli and the hybridization programs. This has come up continuously, and wanted to know, he had mentioned that you had mentioned this intervention, this hybridization program that came, didn't necessarily, I guess the Zetas weren't able to come here on their own being. They had assistance to come here because of maybe their lack of technology. Can you explain maybe the reasons why these Greys, these Zeta beings, came here, and how they got here to start this hybridization program?
Yes, first of all, the Grey concept is a blanket term, much as Pleiadians, Arcturians, Sirians.
Right.
One word defines many beings. Zeta Reticuli are one specific breed. Now, when you are looking at the matrices, you see, or the matrices in your verbal language appropriateness, in those essences you see the Grey entities, or the Zeta Reticuli, coming from another matrix. They were in a matrix that is lower than your matrix, and in that matrix they are experiencing an inability to procreate, and it is because the environment of their own planet was destroyed. Their emotional contexts were turned quite intentionally from the highly spectrum emotional humans to the lower spectrum of keeping their emotions nice and neat. And in doing so, along with the pollution of their planet, they were enabled to procreate. They desired to look for DNA that was compatible. They looked for other races in which they could manipulate their DNA to combine with theirs in order to create children, but were not able to. After knowing about how an entity in a higher density, such as the end of the sixth density, is able to pierce the veil of matrices, then they reached out to a vibration that was once in their matrix as well, the ancient reptilian energy. These entities are by far the longest lasting sixth density beings in this galactic unit. It is, in our knowledge, the longest lasting sixth density beings in all of understanding. These entities are called ancient reptilians because their history is rich and deep. They have existed and found a way to remove themselves from the incarnation cycle, so they may exist in that level physically forever. By doing so, they are not able just to peer into the matrices above or below them. They are able to transport their physical selves and co-create in that level. It is something that is even beyond our race. And our race is one of the highest within the galactic consciousness of understanding, peeking through these matrices. So, by definition, the ancient reptilians were called upon by the Zeta Reticuli to do the favor of bringing them into a matrix where humans with multi-dimensional DNA exist. This is your race. Your DNA is special because of the fact that you have been created and manipulated so many times from so many different races, from so many different densities, that your DNA is multi-dimensional, being able to exist in dimensions above it and below it at the same time, or at least densities in our perception. Now, seeing this beautiful DNA, they brought themselves to the Earth creation, but in order to do so, they must pay a debt to the ancient reptilians. So the ancient reptilians, who are co-creating with Earth frequently, were able to experience having a slave race below them called the Zeta Reticuli, and the Zeta Reticuli had to experience these entities, the ancient reptilians, in bringing forth better technology and better understanding to them. They connected with the human race frequently. They extracted DNA and begin a hybridization program where they are taking their own DNA, human DNA, and creating physical bodies. And at very first it was crude. It was the mixing of genetic material into an energy that would be similar to a sperm and creating physical third density bodies. After that they got better. The ancient reptilians helped them, who are also master material or genetic material manipulators, and then were able to spawn hybrid races by only taking portions of DNA skin. It continued, and there are several generations of these hybrid programs. And we have spoken of the hybrid programs, but we are not sure if your intent is for us to speak about them.
A little bit. It seems to be, there's a, I guess we're getting closer maybe to the introduction of the hybrid races to our own race, and there seems to be a lot of contact with hybrid children to their parents, and the frequencies are starting to merge more where before there was a separation. So it is definitely a subject I wanted to touch upon, and there's many people out there, many viewers who are interested on this fact. And there's a lot of excited people who want to reconnect with their hybrid children because they are having contact and conversations. So this is why I brought it up, and I wanted to kind of go over the subject matter. So
yes,
please, yeah. It sounds like, did the reptilians, the ancient reptilians, did they also have their own human reptilian hybridization program?
Although they have interacted with humans, although they have manipulated genes of humans, they have not mixed their DNA directly, but indirectly their DNA still exists within your race.
Okay.
Their DNA was mixed with another race from the Pleiades region, an androgynous to feminine energy, something between the two. And in that energy, this race leaves the Pleiades, much as our race did, but not to inhabit another area. They do this to explore, but what they truly wish to explore was their masculine energy. Through their own journey, they have found a co-creation with ancient reptilians who gave them their DNA. By doing so, it allowed those entities to become the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki race are the first manipulators, or first genetic manipulators of humanity. Those entities place their DNA with yours, causing, perhaps by default, you having 50% of the ancient reptilian energy and 50% of the feminine Pleiadian energy within their connection to the human race or manipulation. So in that one race connecting to humanity, there are two different DNAs that were extracted and assimilated into the human experience.
I see. So in essence, all of humanity, we're hybrids. We're hybrid reptilian, hybrid Pleiadian, and I'm sure there's others in there too.
Yes, you are all quite hybrided well.
So, and the Zeta is creating these other hybrid races. Will there be a time when we will be able to meet up with some of our hybrid children?
Yes, there are some of you who are doing it now. There are some of you whose excitements have led that forefront in order to co-create now. Experiencing these synchronicities, many people think it is because of the time, it is because we are into a new time energy. It is partially this, yes, but it is also because you are now full density beings. You can create whatever you desire. You were able to before, but much higher further.
You know, I know the potential, everything is potentials in the future is not set, but
yes.
Is there a time, I know you probably get this all the time, is there a particular kind of reading the potentialities in the near future where humanity as a collective will enter in with, is it a likely, let me say this, is it a likely potential that humanity will start engaging on a massive scale, on a collective scale with these hybrid races?
Yes, the potential is quite high, the probability is high. There are three majority probabilities when it comes to when contact will be made with them. One is within 2.5 years, one is within 12 years, one is within 58 years, and those are the three majority energies, understanding that all probabilities exist even between seconds they exist. One could happen 10 seconds or 12 seconds. Those are two separate probabilities. With all of the infinite probabilities, those three stand up the highest.
Well, that's good news. I mean, 2.5 is excellent news. 12 and 58 years. I think for our hybrid mothers out there, they're probably all going to hope for the 2.5-year period. But no, that's definitely gives a lot of, I think, excitement for a lot of our hybrid mothers who are in contact currently with these children.
Yes, and let us express, if you desire the timeline to be shorter, place your actions of excitement within it.
And I've explored in past episodes some of these actions, and we've discussed the means for some of these children to come through is just because of the higher vibrational frequency that they're at. We have to raise our frequencies and make choices in our lives that will bring us, you know, down the card deck example that you gave earlier. I love that.